Welcome to Elevated Consumption, your hub for culture, entrepreneurship, and elevated living. We spotlight visionaries, industry leaders, and creators shaping the future through the lens of success, innovation, and lifestyle. Now step into the mindset of the movers and shakers, redefining what it means to win.
This is Winning an Elevated Mindset, the series where we tap into the habits, hustle, and philosophies of top performers, from entrepreneurs to creatives. We uncover the stories behind the success and the mindset that got them there. Today we have as our guest David Sinopoli. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Our first segment is the vision behind a cultural powerhouse. You've built some of Miami's most iconic nightlife and music spaces: Club Space, 3 Points, Factory Town, Floyd, Jolene Soundroom. What first drew you to this industry?
I think it was an easy way for me to help my friends out, to come to parties when college. I was serving tables and bartending at a local steakhouse, and any restaurant has a culture of people that go out afterwards and hang out with each other. And then I had my homies that were not able to get into clubs, so I got asked to work a front door at a club called 238 West, which is in Gainesville, right across from the Florida Theater. And I put on a shirt and tie, and I had a list at the front door, and I would check people into their VIP list and give them a band. And I was able to add my 30 friends to it, and I got paid what I would get paid to serve a table, or a shift at that steakhouse. So I was like, oh, this is an easier way to make that money. I always had to work. So since I was 14 years old, I was always hustling on the side to, buy a car, buy clothes, go to school. So I was always looking for ways to be more efficient with making money, and serving tables and bartending was always the best way for me that I knew at that time. And then I found out about promoting, and I was like, oh shit, this is a life hack. You can make hundreds of dollars and just go out with your friends. So I started kind of more of a necessity of trying to figure out how to make a little extra hustle. And that evolved. I wasn't really I was into music, but the music I was listening to was not being played at clubs. So there wasn't really a space for what I liked at that time.
Was there a defining moment where you knew you weren't just creating venues, but shaping a cultural movement?
No. I think the key is to not think about that. There's been times where I look out to productions we do, and there's this immense sense of pride and gratitude I have to the people that have worked with us along the way to get there. And I guess that itself is culture, with the people that have helped me to pull off certain productions or wild ideas. I really rely on a lot of the people that work with us. So as I've gotten older, I've been able to engage with people that are younger with me and bring them up and mentor them in a sense. And then they also help me to keep our stuff relevant.
That's great.
So I think just that whole process of doing the work and working with the people, and listening to people, not having just an idea of what you think it should be, listening to the next movement of people that can be oh, listen, that is not future thinking when it comes to sound or how we treat our customers or bathrooms or anything. You have to keep up with the times. And the more that you lean into the fact that you're doing cultural things, the less culturally significant it is, I think. So you have to kind of block that shit out.
Right. Don't define it.
Yeah, don't define it. Don't drink your own Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. Got to stay grounded. Yep. Because if you get too elevated on that shit, then you'll lose it. The whole thing will be gone. I mean, if you're just too far away from it and your mindset starts changing into something that is not approachable for people, or it's kind of more of a know-it-all aspect, you're fucked eventually.
It's great to see you staying humble.
I have to, brother.
Yep.
I'm also weird nerd wrestling fan. Like, I have weird things that keep me
We're right there.
Yeah, I might be a little
I respect
autistic.
it.
I mean, like,
I
there's
respect it.
things about me, bro, that are not gonna be. I think I do things that I'm really proud of, but at the same time, I have to keep it real, man. It's just not. And I have people around me. I have really good friends, and I have good family, and people my partners will call me on my bullshit.
Keep it grounded.
Yeah.
That's great. Miami's a competitive market. What sets your venues apart and keeps them at the forefront of nightlife and music?
Just focusing on our work, not thinking about anything else. You know, competitive for sure. I mean, remember when we had Bardot, we were competing with people to get acts, people that I respect and I love and have become dear friends of mine. But it never was that deep, you know? Like, if we got an act from Grand Central back in the day, or vice versa, I showed up to that show. They showed up to that show, you know what I mean? It wasn't like ever bitter, yeah. And as time goes on and people in Miami see who you are, I think it's easier to maintain relationships because they have a benefit of the doubt of working with somebody for 15 years or 10 years or 5 years. So we also don't really think about competition. Like, Davide, Colombo, and myself have always really found our mindset to be best if we can just focus on the work and what we can do and block out what else is happening around us. We're aware if a show happens and it's big and maybe it cut into our night at that time, but you can be aware of it, but you shouldn't react to it.
Are you focusing on what works for you? So, like, when you're putting something out there, you're developing it for you and your liking, or is it more with a consumer in mind?
Consumer.
Got it.
Yeah. I think the only things I do that are fully for me is just DJing.
Got it.
Right? What I want to play.
Right.
But even that, I have to make sure that I'm playing for the dance floor. So it's an exchange at all times. I think if I ever were to put out more music, that would be totally for me. But with these type of things where you're servicing thousands of people, rarely what you like is going to be what everyone likes, you know? So you have to kind of give everybody, especially at 3 Points, we serve like 3 or 4 different sub-markets of sound. So you have to kind of figure out how to make sure that everyone's still happy with the filter of good taste.
And those sub-markets would be?
Weird 3 Points OG shit, like IDM, indie rock at the core. That has a little bit of indie dance in there, indie rock, like that movement. There's like a hip hop urban aspect to it that is super important to Miami. That could be old school hip hop, that could be Tokisha. It can kind of range inside of what we consider to be hip hop. Electronic music, and I think those kind of break out into 2 different areas where you're having like tech house, space sound, and then you have this more forward bass techno sound, which is building quickly.
Especially in Miami, right?
Yeah, hard techno and merging with like bass music, just anything that's really fast right now is huge. Sells a lot of tickets. There's a lot of new stuff coming out of it. It's blowing up right now.
How do you balance business and creativity, building an experience while ensuring long-term success?
I smoke weed.
Yes, sir.
So that helps. Sometimes if we don't have a idea that's completely clicking, or we put out a really crazy idea and the production and the business has to kind of catch up to it, that happens a lot. But we have such strong identities at Space and at Floyd and at Ground and at Jolene now, that you kind of just build off of that momentum, and we just kind of stay there. The biggest thing is not to deviate too far with being creative. You know, you can't go too off the road so that somebody that comes there and just doesn't buy for a talent walks in and they got to feel some sort of consistency. So you work with a lot of people that kind of keep you in check and collaborate and make sure that you're bringing in people that can tell you if an idea is a little bit off base. Still, we try stuff, it doesn't work. We did this whole thing called halftime at Jolene. We did half price drinks and half tempo music, like down tempo. It was sick, but no one came. We made no money. It was like me and Johnny from Space and like 3 other people just being like, yeah, 6 set, man. Like, it's like a cute idea. We were hoping it would take off, but it didn't, and just let it go. Keep it moving.
Stay nimble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is with that.
In an era where nightlife is constantly evolving, how do you stay ahead of the curve?
I dig a lot. I mean, we're music bookers. You know, we're nightlife operators, but we're music bookers. So everything we do, we're booking music. So it's not like we're just opening up our doors to a club and hiring promoters and host tables and, you know, like the old Miami, South Beach lifestyle clubs that still exist. Now, I don't think that exists anymore. I feel like you have to program talent and then build an atmosphere around the talent that you bring.
Winning is all about mindset. What's your personal philosophy on what it takes to win in this industry?
I think it goes back to that competition thing. I don't put the word win on things. I think there's like success and longevity and legacy and definitely like profitability. Like those are the things that we would look at. The aspect of, I mean, I guess it's always been ingrained in me. Like I grew up playing sports. Like I always did want to win. I'm really competitive at video games. So I do have it in me, but I think it's like, can you make the thing you're working on the best it possibly can be? Like that's like success or winning in that product or that project. You know, for a long time at 3 Points, we had so many operational issues that we were catching up to that you didn't have a lot of time to really optimize the experience. And as we've gotten better with our partnerships and how we do it, like we really can take the time and say, okay, how can we perfect or get as close as we can to success and optimal, like take it to its best possible version of itself. That takes time and focus. And that's a lot of discipline, and you have to be very passionate about the project, and you have to really think from the person that walks into the door, like how they walk in, how do they see a stage, how do they walk into a stage, how do they walk into a bar, or when they go to the bar, what is happening to them. It's a full, 3 Points is a really good project for me to learn from because it evolves every year, and it's so many moving fucking pieces, and it's so chaotic of a 2-day festival that can be, you know, changed by the weather or changed by the circumstances really easily. So it makes the brick and mortar stuff that I do a little bit more manageable in my mind, you know, because you cut your teeth with something as like intense and unpredictable as that. So I think, yeah, like I don't use that word winning with my team. I don't want them to really look at things as a loss if they experimented with something. So we just are looking for, hey, did it work? Can it be better? Does it have legs? Like, can we grow it? And if not, you cut it loose, like you said with the other thing. And if it has something there, like 3 Joints, for example, this weed festival we do on 420, I think it's like its 7th or 8th year. And that thing did not make money. The thing was kind of ahead of its time. Like no one was really going to weed things like that. Right. But there was something there that was dope, and you could kind of feel it and you understood it. So we had to just take our time with that one and just let that build. And that might quote unquote be a win now, you know, but it took time.
Welcome back to Elevated Consumption. On this episode of Winning an Elevated Mindset with David Sinopoli. In this segment, we're going to talk about building and scaling a lifestyle empire. So David, from club space to 3 Points and beyond, each of your ventures has a unique identity. How do you approach brand building across multiple spaces?
There has to be interconnection so people understand that they're like sister brothers, products of each other.
That's great.
So we do a lot to connect the venues via like activations and programs that make sense. So that's important. They have to feel cohesive. Otherwise, one will be, kind of competes with each other, or you don't want one of the products to feel lackluster against the other ones, right? Spaces is monster, and it was a brand way before us. So cultivating what we've done there is mostly about maintaining history and just updating and modernizing and putting our own spin on it. But that brand has been there and has been strong, and it's a notorious brand.
Is that like the staple of your whole business?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it's the frequency that we use it and the amount of people that go through that building and the history that it has to Miami. I think it is. I think it would be weird to say that it wouldn't be. But depending on the time of year, Factory Town could be the focus, or 3 Points could be the focus, and Space is always just there doing its thing while those things are going on too. So yeah, I would say Space is kind of the centerpiece, the mothership, and then 3 Points has benefited a lot from it, from me being involved in Space and expanding the electronic music offering at 3 Points has really helped 3 Points grow into what it is now.
What's the secret to creating a venue that lasts when so many nightlife spots come and go?
Don't do coke.
Yeah. Good
It's a hell of a
advice.
drug.
Good advice, especially in Miami.
That's the best thing I could tell you. Don't get high on your own supply. That'll help you with a lot of things. If you just say, hey, I'm not going to do coke when I open up this venue in Miami, you will outlast a lot of people that are doing coke and are making fucking stupid decisions. And I've been lucky to find partners that are drug-free. We smoke weed. I smoke weed. They don't even smoke weed, but we are pretty clean about how we go about our business. We have a pretty good ethical code with our staff, and really can't tell you how lucky we are to have had such a good team that has been built. We started small, and they attracted the next layer of people and the next layer of people. So now if somebody comes in with a shit attitude in one of our operations, they get booted really quickly. So a lot of our success is for the people that work with us.
People feel a sense of family.
Yeah, and purpose.
Right.
Purpose, we let a lot of our people to experiment with their own parties. A lot of people that work with us are DJs themselves or throw their own parties, so we give them platforms to do it. And I think if you work with us long enough, you understand what we're doing, and then that embodies this element of pride and
There's intention.
And you want to be exceptional at stage managing or artist liaisoning, bartending, there's a level of fucking seriousness that everyone takes to their job, and we have fun with it, and we're cool, and there's laid back atmosphere, but you got to be on time, and you have to do your job, and you have to hit the type of expectations that we have, which are to take it for real and know that it's an option. You don't have to work here. So we've been very lucky. We have a lot of superstars inside of our organization that help us to keep it really solid and not us having to micromanage and watch them. So you guys could go into the club and I'm not there. I'm pretty certain you're gonna have a great experience. And if you didn't, and I found out a little nuance, or somebody was rough with you on the way out and you got escorted out, or something happened, people talk to us and we address that shit really quickly. So the level of accountability that we have with each other too.
How do you navigate the balance between exclusivity and accessibility, keeping things high-end while maintaining a strong community feel?
Well, I think everything we have is tickets, you know? So you see with our tickets, they always start around like $10, $15 for the smaller rooms and like $20, $30 for the larger things. The festival, we just drop prices with the festival. It's kind of like we're calling it reverse inflation. But we believe in the model that ticket sales snowball. So if you start small and you give the people that maybe don't have the ability to buy a $60, $100 ticket a chance to be there right when the ticket goes live, they get an affordable ticket and they can come in.
Right.
And we have these before like before 2 a.m. tickets, or at some of the clubs it's like before midnight, and they're make you like time sensitive, like you have to come in before a certain time, and they're cheaper.
And is that to give you like a base crowd?
That too.
Right.
So the DJ early has people there, and then snowball, right? The party's busy, people come up to the door.
And they're spending money at the bar. I mean, you get less for the ticket, but they're...
For sure.
Yep.
And then there's somebody that comes up to the door at 12:30 and the room's packed, there's a different price at the door.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that helps us to just, people can follow that model. I figure it out.
What was the biggest all-in risk you've taken in your career, and how did it pay off?
Oh man, I've taken a couple. I mean, 3 points every year is a pretty big fucking risk. It's a little safer now with it being established. The money is way higher, but we can afford insurance. I think 2016 3 points was the biggest risk I ever took, and when we saw the hurricane coming and we decided to go forward with it, with the idea that the hurricane would miss us. Like, you know, anybody that's been in South Florida knows that.
It's a gamble.
But most of the time, they pass you, and the next day is beautiful.
Sometimes nothing really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if that situation would have happened now, right, where Hurricane Matthew was coming towards us and where we are at 3 points, I would have canceled. That'd been an easy conversation.
And you had to change the date a few times.
We tried,
Okay.
and we ended up
And
right
you
back
bring
to
it
where,
back.
yeah,
Gotcha.
just for booking and stuff, it made more sense. But that year we had LCD sound system. We were 3 years in there. They just reunited, and they were going to come. So I was also like really bullish to make that happen. And when it looked like really bleak in the early part of the week of that festival, people wanted me to throw in the towel, and I just tried to wait as long as I could. And then, you know, Thursday night it took a little turn north, and Friday we were setting up the festival. We opened up late. LCD couldn't make it. They couldn't get down the state of Florida. It was Obama made it a state of emergency for the state, so they had to go right to Austin and pick up their real paycheck at ACL. But Saturday and Sunday we had a full-on festival, and instead of like losing the whole thing, because I think if we canceled that year, it could have been it. Could have been it for us.
I think you also gave people an escape from what they were.
For sure. They were stir crazy at that point. The party was sick. Like, I didn't look at any of the numbers until Monday, Tuesday.
Like a true hurricane party.
It was.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. Like, we pulled it off, and, you know, M83 still played, and Thievery Corporation, and we still had a really good festival. But Monday and Tuesday were sobering to know, like, how much money we owed. And how, like, the real question was like, okay, well, how are we going to pay this? Like, we really never was faced with that before. So it was a gamble. It was a gut gamble. It paid off, but it was rough for a couple of years there, just trying to figure out the finances of it all.
And did COVID pandemic throw a similar curveball, or was it different kind of circumstance?
I feel like the hurricane before helped me to prepare for dealing with COVID. We moved the festival date like 4 times during COVID because you never really knew when we were going to be out. So we kept redoing the lineup, which is cool. Like building out like fake lineups that we thought were going to happen. At the time, we didn't think they were fake, but going back to the 2021 3 points, it really was the 2020 3 points, 4 different iterations of it till we got to the final one.
Wow.
We ended up breaking off, like we thought we were going to do it in May of 21, and we had a whole lineup for May of 21. And then we realized May wasn't going to happen to the scale of what we wanted to do. We ended up doing Secret Project, which was, we took like 5 or 6 of the acts each day that were booked, and we just went to Virginia Key and did a 2-day festival in May of 21. And then we gave them a double money, those people, to come back and play 21 October. So like Black Coffee, Bedouin, Eric Prydz all played twice in 21 for us.
So you renegotiated?
Yeah, but they were happy about it because they were like, okay, say I was making 50K on that May date that you booked for me for, now I'm making 100 between the two, and you're not canceling my May date.
And Miami's a great place for exposure too.
Yeah, I mean, we were also the only place that was opening up at that time. Like,
Florida didn't close down.
no,
Right.
May 21 is fucking really early for New York and LA, so we were definitely first with like a video of that size of people dancing, and that whole COVID thing was risky. I mean, we were really fortunate to be in Florida, guys.
Right.
My business probably would not be what it is right now if I was doing this in any other state. Like, I feel really lucky to be in Miami and to be in Florida during that time. It could have been so much worse.
Has direct competition moved into Miami because of it?
Originally, yeah. Yeah, when they weren't able to open up as much in New York and LA, they all came for us here.
Right.
But once their venues started opening up in their cities, they redirected their energy. They're still here a little bit, but it is what it is.
There's a growing demand for boutique, intimate music experiences. How do you see the shift influencing the Miami nightlife?
I think it's great. It just means more places. I've been always a proponent of like more in Miami venue-wise is better for everyone. There was a period of time there where, especially post-COVID, where a lot of places weren't reopened and a lot of places hadn't opened up yet. And we were like the only game in town. And that sucked because...
You're crowded and you can't serve everybody, right?
And we don't want that responsibility.
Right.
Like, I love the Miami music culture and I love being somebody that puts on for my city, but I can't put on for everyone. Like, I'm not, like, there's so many DJs and so many people that have great projects that I don't even have room on our calendar to be able to program for because we're already booked up with a lot of other things that we're committed to. So there needs to be more venues. There had to be more venues. There has to be Dante's, there has to be ATV at the time, there has to be like Medium Cool, the band shell, like there has to be more like of that. Zay is amazing. I mean, I love those guys, and they can serve an audience that I used to work with a lot in Bardot that goes there now, that I'm really happy to see finding its home. So yeah, even like my core audience at Bardot, like I couldn't even really program those types of bands anymore. So there had to be a place for it. So it's just more of that smaller experience would be, it's great for the city.
Do you see nightlife and music festivals evolving toward a more experiential, immersive model?
I think so. I don't know, man. I think they're getting more niche. Like the lineups you see are not really as diverse. The multi-genre festival is it's not happening like that anymore. We're a rare breed. There's like more like full-on electronic music festivals or full-on hip-hop festivals or full-on like, was that one Forever Young or something like that, where it's all like Paramore and Sum 41 and all that kind of stuff. It's like, I think that niche model is maybe more immersive for people because they can dive into a genre specifically. Mm-hmm. I think there's more niche experiences happening and immersive experiences happening within festivals. We have Despacio that has been with us for a couple times, and that is a very immersive experience where James Murphy and Too Many DJs designed this beautiful sound room with Macintosh sound system, and it's really coordinated lighting display, and they play back to back the whole time on records, and that's unlike anything I've ever been to. You know, it's super immersive because once you're in there, it's like you're like a part of the room. So I think more of those type of things within bigger festivals, you'll see a lot more of. But no, I don't even know any, like I can't tell you another festival that's popped up recently that I've been like, I need to go see because I think that will blow my mind. Maybe that's not me knowing enough about what's going on overseas, but domestically I couldn't tell you. I would down to hear if there is something like that.
To the inner Tesla, partner ex-wrestler, he days for Cheska, partner ex-wrestler.
Welcome back to Elevated Consumption. This is Winning an Elevated Mindset with David Sinopoli. This segment is On the Rocks, a bourbon break. This is where we take a moment, pause for our On the Rock bourbon break, where we kick back, sip some bourbon, and get into some real talk.
All right, so this is some Horse Soldier bourbon. Like that little sound always.
Yep. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you for being
cheers,
here.
of course.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right, so if you had to sum up Miami nightlife in one word, what would it be?
It's feral.
That's a fair word.
Or diverse. Feral and diverse.
Feral makes a lot of sense. It is wild. There's always wild behind the scenes stories in nightlife. What's one that stands out that you can actually share on the air?
Well, I think it'd have to be at Space, right? There's things that have happened at 3 Points and my other venues that have been insane. But Space is just like a different animal because of the 24-hour liquor license. I think the closing party, when we had to close to renovate the place for code compliance and staircases this last summer. And we had a party that just wouldn't stop at the end of it. Like we had this whole weekend of closing parties, and like the construction crew was literally coming in on the Tuesday, and the party was supposed to be done on the Monday, and it just would not stop. No one would fucking leave.
Yeah.
And we didn't really want to stop because it would have been the last time we'll be in the club for a couple months, and you know, we're calling it the long kiss goodbye. A party that probably should have been like 20 hours turned into like a 36-hour party, and yeah, the construction crew's like waiting outside for like, to come in to start the process. So yeah, that was being part of something, and like going home and seeing that the counts are not dropping and that people keep showing up. Miami partying into like Tuesday, Wednesday is fucking insane to me, but they do it.
Yep. And where do you go get your breaks? And, you know, during a 36-hour.
Yeah, I'm close by, and so I step out and I shower and regroup. And my partners, we have a rotation, and sometimes we trust our staff enough that if we're not there presently, it's okay. Or, like again, going back to what I was telling you before, I don't really micromanage. We set up good foundations, we watch, we tune up, we talk every week about the week before and the week coming up, but I can take breaks. I can be out of town, I can be in another country, and I know the club is going to run properly.
Benefits of hiring slow and firing fast.
Yeah, building a good group that cares for their job, takes pride in it.
You built spaces where some of the world's best artists perform. If you can go back in time and book any artist, dead or alive, for one legendary night at Space, who would it be?
Space?
At Space.
Space. Fuck. Well, then it'd have to be a DJ. I mean, I really would like to get Nicholas Jar to come back and play electronic music at Space and like do a sunrise there. That would be my personal favorite. If we're talking about not Space, like a non-conventional thing, I mean, I saw Prince in 2008, and
That has to be an
Incredible.
experience.
changed my fucking life. Yeah, so Prince,
That would be
like
awesome.
in a
Prince at
bar,
Space.
Prince at
Yeah.
Bardot. I would reopen Bardot just for one night and let them like bring 200 friends in, because he's the best drummer I've ever seen, the best guitar player I've ever seen, the best dancer I've ever seen, the best singer I've ever seen. He's just
That's my wife's favorite artist. She still plays the vinyls literally every day.
you can't go wrong, man. I think he changed the fabric of music forever. He rewired us, and seeing him alive was transcendent. So, yeah, that's my guy.
And for people that don't know Bardot, you mentioned it. Could you tell people like the size of the venue and what that was
Yeah.
all about?
Me and Dean worked a lot there together. We did a lot of shows there. It's pretty much like 200 to 250 living room setting, meaning that the bands would play on the floor, right face to face with people.
And it was more like a lounge setup where people.
It was like a long rectangle with a long bar and a pool table in the back, and like living room seating everywhere, low loungy.
pretty cool.
Yeah, you could smoke weed there. I don't know how, but we got away with it for a while. Pool table was amazing. We were just talking about it before. It's a fantastic pool table, and it didn't really take away from the show. It was kind of in the corner. Staff was great, and before Wynwood got really super gentrified, Midtown had just opened up. Miami was affordable. Pickle was open down the street. People could go back and forth between the Pickle and Bardot. It was simpler. It was a simpler Miami at that time. It was my first place that I moved down here to do. That's why I moved down here to work on that project.
And so on that note, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a music blog when you were at UF, and then you broke a really big artist, right?
Broke a couple of artists, yeah. I was working a corporate job at University of Florida, doing some fundraising, and I was in my cubicle running a blog called Ear Blessings, and that's when blogs were a thing. We had a couple great ones down here. Night Drive, Patrick and Laura's blog inspired me a lot too. So we were always like looking for new music and posting them, and if you are like the first to post them, Hype Machine was back in the day, would like kind of like rate the tracks, and then they would link directly to your blog, so you could get a lot of hits. And yeah, we were there for MGMT and Foster the People and The Weeknd, and we were breaking like the first
Those are big names.
Drake's first like albums were really more indie. They were like combos of like Licky Lee, and they were like weird
Right.
college alt rock, hip hop. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you go listen to early mixtapes of Drake, he was touching that stuff too. So we were putting those things out early before people, and then as they would catch fire, our blog got bigger, and then I ended up bringing my friend Erica Freshman like mixtapes from it, and yeah, I had the nightlife history, and she's like, listen, we need help at this venue, and I moved down 2010.
Very cool. You've built spaces where people create lifelong memories. What's one night in your career that was pure magic?
The first 3 Points, that Saturday night of 3 Points where we had James Murphy and Jamie, and then we did a boiler room at my friend Chalk's place, who passed away. Rest in peace, Chalk. Yeah, he was a big staple of the scene, and he had this like loft in Wynwood, and we convinced Boiler Room to fly down for this concept of 3 Points, and they set up in Chalk's studio, and we threw a Boiler Room afterwards. First night I went to Space too. After the Boiler Room, I was like, still wanted to party.
Is that what kind of like made you want to take over that venue?
No, I walked in there, and I was like charged cash at the door. They wouldn't take my credit card, but the ATM would like took my credit card, and it was like a $15 fee. And then my weed got stolen, and like I don't know, it was like all these like guys with shaved arms that were like prickling against me. And I was like coming out at such a such a happy moment, and I was like, fucking vibe killed. I left. I never went back until we owned it. I didn't like it. Yeah, it's a portal. Space is a portal, and if it's not treated right and not maintained well, and it's just used to make money, you're gonna get a weird experience there. It's gonna ripple to you. And if you treat it right and you keep it clean and maintenance, it's the whole opposite effect. So I didn't go back there until my two partners now had this like pop-up that they did there for art department. And I saw that them doing their sound in there was a different experience. Yeah, and then we ended up owning it like a couple weeks later.
Wow. So owning nightlife businesses, you see a lot of crazy requests. What's the most outlandish demand a celebrity or performer has ever made?
The coolest one was a local puppy.
What?
Yeah, like for when their sound check, they wanted like a local dog, yeah, like a puppy to come to their sound check.
Bring their own puppy.
Right, they're traveling. So they asked you to bring a puppy. They just want some puppy time.
in particular, I mean, I love dogs.
I brought John Swab.
I have a Boston Terrier.
Yeah, no, I brought my little French bulldog at the time. I let him run around the sound check. It was Mount Kimby. But I requested a local puppy. I was like, all right, that's cool.
Frenchies are cool.
Yeah, and there was like, I think if I was a touring band and was in a foreign city and just needed some puppy time, like I get it. I was cool with it. But I don't know, there's other crazy rider requests we've gotten. We did the Gorillas, we did Rosalia, we've done the Strokes. The Strokes were fucking demanding. It's never the band though. It's weird. It's always
Like the manager.
Yeah, it's like a fucking power trip or the TMs, you know. But it's part of the business.
Yeah.
You don't really take it personally at this point.
Sure.
Oh well, but there is one. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Macy Gray played at Bardot, and like a week before we booked her, she's like, "Hey, you have to order cake from this place in Venice and ship the cake in."
From Venice,
California.
Florida?
No, California. So we had to order this cake,
Holy shit.
custom made. Let her know it's for Macy, and then like the cake then comes, and like you have to have the cake there for sound check, and there's this whole fucking thing about the cake. And a lot of coordination, So we get the cake, not sound check. I'm like, she finished up, Macy, you have your cake. I open up the cake. She's like, oh, thank you. Sticks her fucking hand inside of the cake and pulls out a bag of weed. She goes, thanks, and walks away. She just needed me to ship weed for her. I was a fucking mule, so for Macy Gray via
awesome.
bakeries,
That's a
baked
great
goods.
story.
Yes. Yo.
That is one.
You baked the cake story. That's crazy.
Wow, that's amazing.
That was one I was like, okay, fuck you, but respect.
Respect. What's your ultimate escape? When you're not working, what's your perfect way to reset and recharge?
I was telling you guys before, I like to DJ. It's really helpful with my mindset. I like to spend time at home recharging. I like to play video games with my weird cousin.
What video games do you like?
We play 2K, like NBA 2K, because we're competitive. But I also like Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid, and I like RPGs, but I can't really do those anymore because you really got to commit to that shit.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yeah. I like to go to the beach by myself on like a Saturday or Sunday and jump in the water a couple times, feel the sun. Then I have like these good Asian foot rub places around there too. They get reflexology, so I make a little Saturday of that. Go to the drive-thru Panther, smoke a joint, go to the beach. Yeah, we're really lucky here in Miami to have the water and have this type of like atmosphere here that we take care of so many people hospitality-wise. So we have so many luxuries here that you can just tap into when you need to. So I definitely put good use to that.
Welcome back to Elevated Consumption on this episode of Winning an Elevated Mindset with David Sinopoli. In this segment, we're going to discuss the business of nightlife, music, and culture. David, nightlife isn't just about throwing parties. It's a serious business. What's one misconception people have about running clubs and music festivals?
Dad, I'm always there. Like, I'm not at the club all the time. Like, sorry, bro. You called me at 5 in the morning to get in. I'm not there. Like, I'm fucking sleeping.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I think people were like, "Oh my God, how do you do it? Run the 24-hour license?" I'm like, I don't do it alone.
Right, you're not there to do the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's the biggest one, and that I want to party. Like I'm kind of an introvert at this point,
Right.
so actually that wouldn't be my preference. But
Makes sense. You're exposed to it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I when I'm there, the energy takes me over, and I'm in it. But that's, you don't necessarily have to be in the party to be throwing the party.
How do you create boundaries as far as, like you said, people reaching out at 5 a.m. and
answer.
okay.
And then you just apologize the next day and just say, I was sleeping. So then
Do
next
you
time
really
they come.
have to apologize though?
No, I mean sometimes.
Hospitality.
Yeah, I mean they're friends that don't know better.
Got it.
Right.
So it's like, sorry guy, I was sleeping. I typically do that at that time.
Yeah, it's 5 in the morning. Shit.
Going forward, if they hit you up again
Then
at that
it's an
time, it's like,
emergency.
all right,
Yeah.
bro, like,
Or cocaine.
Right,
One of
lose
the
my
yeah,
number.
exactly. There it goes right back to that situation. So
How do you approach partnerships and collaborations in the industry?
there's levels to that shit. You can do something very superficial, where just collabing on a post, or you could collab on a night, help curate something or book something together, and then there's deep partnerships where you're signing an operating agreement with people and your life is tied to them. So each of them go slow.
What's your philosophy on managing relationships with artists, DJs, and performers?
I mean, respect, empathy. Even if you don't agree, be polite and respectful. I mean, when you're talking to like agents, depending on who it is, they could be posturing, they could be fucking with you, they could be trying to get a bag or working you. So you have to not really react to that. Just say, okay, there's my limit. See you when the number makes more sense. Walk away from deals a lot. People passing on offers really bums me out, but I've gotten really numb to it.
Because you know the line that works for you.
Yeah, and also timing for people is like really big. When they're able to tour something or run something, they know you have interest, they'll come back to you, and you work it at that time. And I've had many deals where I've offered for 6-7 years, didn't work out, and then finally it worked out because they wanted to do it, and there was a time that they wanted to do it, and they maybe had a release attached to it, and we figured it out.
3 Points has become one of the most respected music festivals in the U.S. How do you maintain that level of curation and authenticity?
We 60% Miami, so there's that. We're the most independently, we have the most artists that are independent on our lineup than any other major festival.
Wow.
Something we're really proud of. We keep to our roots, but we evolve. So the people that are in the room with me booking now, it's not just me. I have a lot of people that are younger than me or tapped in on different frequencies than me, and they know how to connect and help me connect the dots of the OG 3 Point shit to the new sound. So, like I said earlier, you have to just kind of keep your ears open and be open to working with people and stay grounded. And I mean, I've taken risks on stuff that I'm really passionate about and lost my ass. Right, so you kind of learn. That's great, but there has to be a level of return on the investment. So, I mean, especially when you're programming big bands and big acts that are historic bands, you get tied to the moment that you'll never be able to do it again. So you gotta go all the way on it, and you kind of need some people in the room to be like, yo, chill. that could ruin us.
Because that's the fan in you, maybe?
Yeah, I did it with Massive Attack.
Right. Which
There was a good chance that they were gonna cancel, right?
Yeah.
And I went forward with that.
And it worked out.
No, they
They
canceled.
canceled. Oh.
Yeah, they canceled.
Oh, wow. And then what did that mean?
I mean, they gave me enough heads up where I was able to book Soul Wax
Okay.
in response to it. So we, as a fan, they made the announcement. They took the blame. We changed up and we had an act for our fans really quickly. They appreciated that, but shit, I knew that that was a chance when I booked them. So it just is what it is.
As Miami continues to grow as a global cultural hub, where do you see opportunities for expansion?
In hospitality, are you saying?
Yeah.
Primarily?
General.
I think what you were saying before, little, smaller
Boutique.
music, boutique opportunities. I think Miami still has a lot of room there. I think we still need a couple different size venues that we don't have right now. You know, we need to perfect the 1,500 cap, 2,000, 3,000 cap. Or we have Bandshell, we have Zay now, we have The Ground. You have maybe a couple more coming online that are smaller. I think more of that for the local scene.
And on that note, what are the capacities of your various venues? So the Ground is about 500?
500 to 700.
Okay.
It's pretty much my only live music venue at this point, right? You can do a live show at Floyd, but it has to be kind of stripped down.
Right.
And then 3 Points, obviously, we run extensive live program on, but currently those are them. And then most of the other ones are DJ focused.
There's no other night. There's no other night. There's no other night. I'm thinking about tonight. There's no other night. There's no other night. There's no other night. I'm thinking about tonight. There's no other night. There's no other night. There's no other night. I'm thinking about tonight. There's no other night. There's no other night.
What a night, baby. What a night. What a night, baby. What a night, baby. What a night. What a night, baby.
Welcome back to Elevated Consumption on this episode of Winning an Elevated Mindset with David Sinopoli. In this segment, we're going to discuss the legacy and future of Miami nightlife. So David, when people look back in 20 years, what do you hope your legacy in Miami nightlife will be?
That we were at a transitional time in Miami, and my team and myself did a lot to try to take Miami to the next step for the music scene. That we supported a lot of Miami artists, and that they can look back at us as a piece of Miami that was essential for their career, and that we threw amazing parties. That people that came to our parties were like, that was fun. And you know, I hear a lot of people having like relationships formed at our events, or have some transcendental awakening at our events. So hopefully that lasts for people and it sticks with them, and they feel like we did a good job keeping them safe when they're at those moments, and that we put on for our city, that we didn't just take.
Do you see Miami continuing to grow as a global nightlife and music destination, or do you see challenges ahead?
I think it continues to grow. The city grows. I mean, there's challenges are the economy of supporting young artists in this type of economic makeup. I mean, it's fucking really hard for artists to live here.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. So I think we're gonna have a adjustment period of pricing people out, which will move people out of the city, which will lose some talent from. But if we can get through that, and we can find space for like emerging professionals and artists to be able to live here, we'll be great. I think that's our biggest challenge right now.
What's next for you? Any new ventures or ideas you're excited about?
We're about to drop the 3 Points lineup. Phase 1 comes out next week, and Phase 2 will be out in the middle of May. We have 3 joints this weekend. This is recorded prior to probably when this airs, so some of that stuff already be announced and out there. I think I'm going to get into more of the like artist housing stuff that we were just talking about. I have projects on the horizon where I'm going to get involved in some stuff where we can make people have places where they can live affordably here. So I think that's the next thing I really want to focus on, is some real estate moves where we can find some secure homes for people to be able to get a residency and live here for a little bit. And
The space condo.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
If you had to give one piece of advice to young entrepreneurs looking to build something lasting, what would it be?
To not give up on it. Just keep being consistent. I mean, Jolt Radio is a big example of that. You guys are consistent for so many times where people now know what it's about, where the intentions are, what it serves for the community. That didn't happen overnight. So you have to, you got to be really connected to it because you as a person change, and that concept around you will probably change too. So the core connection has to be there, and you have to be really persistent and stubborn with it.
What does winning an elevated mindset mean to you?
I like to win in video games, and I like to be elevated with my weed. But I think you could use those phrases, in all seriousness, you can use those phrases for a lot of things. I think I do believe in positive thinking, and I do believe in the power of phrasing things in your head. Not gaslighting yourself per se, but giving yourself the ability to see the hope in things, and seeing the constructive criticism as constructive criticism, and then not weighing you down to negative thinking. And not get too high on your own supply. I think to be elevated is not to be too aloof, or too high. It's like to be right at that sweet spot where you're balanced and you're
Homeostasis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can develop consistency off of that.
Welcome back to Winning an Elevated Mindset with David Sinopoli on elevated consumption. We have closing thoughts and wrap up. David, this has been incredible. Your impact on Miami nightlife and culture is undeniable. Appreciate you sharing your journey with us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And we got a gift for you. Got you a bottle of Horse Soldier bourbon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. That's for you.
That's medicine.
Of course, yeah, for sure. We
Yeah.
appreciate you being here and taking
Really-
the time.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. Horse Soldier Bourbon is a group of guys that are retired military men and put this brand together. They're out of St. Pete. Really good guys, and if anybody that wants to check them out, go to horsesoldierbourbon.com. Great stuff. So, David, where can people follow you, check out your venues, and stay up to date with what's next?
I think Instagram's like the easiest. My Instagram's just my name, David Sinopoli, and then Floyd is Floyd Miami, Space Miami, Jolene Soundroom, and then 3 points is III points. But yeah, we do most of our communication through Instagram.
Very cool. To everyone watching, if you got value from this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Keep pushing, keep building, and keep winning. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.